Hi there, thanks for joining me for another Stampin' for Fun video. And I wanted to showcase this beautiful stamp set called Lots of Lavender today. And I thought it was important to show you one of these celebration sets. The celebration brochure, mine's already dog-eared and everything, has lots of freebies that you can choose for every $60 order. But this one did not initially catch my eye, so I really challenged myself to sit down and play with it. And this is the time of year where I'm making swap cards, and I knew that I was going to make one using a celebration product, so I really challenged myself to use this Lots of Lavender set. And I'm so happy with what I came up with. I actually love it. And so now I love this card. The thing about making swap cards for me is a lot of times when I design for my classes and things, I get inspiration off Pinterest. But when I'm doing a swap card, I really challenge myself to design something that I kind of made up. Of course, like this layout you would see quite commonly, but I didn't go anywhere for inspiration. I just sat down and stamped it, and this is what fell out, and I actually love it. So I thought I would stamp it for you today. So I started with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of Whisper White thick cardstock, and I cut it in half at the 5.5 mark. I scored it at 4 1/4, and that will be the card base. And then I used the shimmery white cardstock. I don't know if you can see, sorry about all the shadows, whether you can see any of the shimmery there, but there's this lovely shimmery background on this cardstock. And I cut it at 3 inches by 4 inches, and I am going to stamp the kind of the flower image, the lavender sort of image, in the Memento black ink. And the reason why I'm going to use the Memento black is because I'm going to be coloring the image in with some of our blends markers, and Stampin' Up! Does recommend to use this Memento ink with the blend alcohol markers. So I'm just a rule follower kind of person, so I'm going to use the Memento ink. So I'll just stamp that right in the middle there. I find it helps to give a bit of pressure in the middle of the stamp when it's a little larger. There we go. Look at it, it's beautiful. But it's nice if we can fill it in, and this stamp set actually has a filler piece. And it has a watercolor-ish effect, and they've actually created the stamp so that it'll be lighter in some places, darker in other places, with whatever fancy stamp technology that they use. And I'm going to use Sweet Sugar Plum, so just let me tap on that. I may actually, yeah, let's see how dark it comes out. We're just going to line it up, and you will see that the kind of the watercolor wash image fits perfectly over that lavender image that we stamped with the Memento. Okay, so there you go. You can kind of see that lighter, darker, Sweet Sugar Plum color. And then I am going to color in the leaves and the bow using our blends markers. So what I do is I actually keep my blends in a paper pumpkin box. I find that it fits really well. Oh, I keep the little brochure with it. It just seems to be the right size. So I'm going to use the light and the dark Old Olive for the leaves, and then the light and dark Daffodil Delight for the ribbon. And what I do is I just use the lighter Old Olive, and I'm using the, not the brush tip, the other tip. Of course, the phone is ringing because that's what you do when you do a video. The phone's going to ring, and we'll just color it in. I go in a bit of a circular motion, and then what I do is I take the darker, here, just let me do it all. And then what I'll do is I'll take the darker Old Olive blend markers. I love these markers because you don't see those crazy streak lines that you would with our water-based markers. It just gives such a nice clean effect. And with the darker, I'm just going to highlight the kind of the vein of the leaf there. See how it just makes it pop when you do that? Okay, And then what I'll do with the bow is exactly the same thing. I'll do it in the lighter Daffodil Delight, and then just kind of where the artist has, and what I'll do is this ribbon seems to kind of wind around, and then I'll just darken it up where the artist has kind of made darker marks there. See, it just really makes it pop. Let me hold it up a bit so you can see. Okay, so see how the darker, when you just add that little darker element, it just gives it some life. I'm just going to color the stems, and then we'll be done with this part. It's so fun to stamp swap cards because it gets me excited about using the product, and things that I didn't think I loved, I end up loving, and it's just a playtime for me. It's so therapeutic and relaxing. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to just stamp a bit of splatter. I'm going to use the, I think it's called Timeless Texture stamp set. And there's this little splatter here that I love. So I'm going to use that splatter, and I'll use a smoky slate to stamp that, but I'll actually stamp it off because I really want it really faint. So I'll stamp off and then just give a little bit of splatter effect. Can you see that there? That's kind of fun, right? And then what we'll do is, maybe I should have watercolored it first, but I'm going to do some watercoloring using my aqua painter. And the aqua painter comes in a set of 2, and you just fill the barrel with some water. And if you squeeze a tiny bit, then the water will come out the tip. I'm going to use Pool Party, which I think is a very pretty, soft sort of blue color. And what I do is I squeeze the lid, and what that does is it puts some of the ink onto this lid, and I'll use it as my palette to give a bit of a watercolor wash. Okay, now the thing is with the Memento ink will bleed. It will bleed when it touches the water, but I think that's okay because it just gives it just even that more feeling of sort of watercolor effect. And I'm just kind of creating a little bit of a blue shadow around the lavender. Okay, so I might kind of come in a bit, just create a bit of a watery blue shadow around it, just to give that fun watercolor look. Some of the things might bleed a bit. You'll see the ink is bleeding there, but that's okay. I really think that's okay. It shows that it's some authentic watercoloring here. Okay. And it just gives a bit of a shadow. I don't know if you can see, it's pretty subtle. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am going to just put this on top here. I had a low battery signal on my phone, so I hope that didn't come across on the camera. But I am going to pop that on. Sometimes it helps if we kind of dry it a bit. I'm just going to use my heat gun and put it on the single setting, which is like a drier setting. There we go. And we'll glue it right down. I'm just going to use the snail here, glue that down. Ta-da! And then we'll just dress it up. I feel like that's the main part of the card. We'll just dress it up with some twine. And what I do when I use ribbon or twine, I sometimes do a little secret. And I will tape it at the back, even though it looks like it's going all around the card. It's not. It's just kind of pretend. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we'll go around. twine is all jammed up here. Okay, and then we'll snip it off. And then I actually tie the bow separately and glue it on. So let's do that. There we go, and I'll tie the bow separately. Perfect. And we'll glue that on. I'm going to use a glue dot. And glue that on. There we go. And another piece of the dressing I thought would be fun is to put one of our paper doilies. Hide it behind there. I could probably actually cut a piece off since I'm only letting it peek out back here. Okay. And we'll just pop that on. I'm going to use some dimensionals just to give that extra pop. And so, isn't that fun just to do a little bit of watercoloring? And this would be a really pretty card that you could give to a neighbor or a friend. I put a little sentiment on the other one. Here, let me just finish off this card for you. Okay, so I'll show, oh, here's the other one I did. I actually put a little sentiment here, cut out with the little classic label punch. Okay, so there you go. That's how easy it is. And this is one of the free sets that you can get through Celebration. All you need to do is place a minimum $60 order and you can pick lots of lavender as your free set. But there's lots of other things to choose from. So feel free to just start collecting them all. And if you place an online order using this host code, if your order is a minimum of $35, I will send you the make and take supplies from our Facebook party, including the supplies for this card, as well as if your order is over $60, not only will you get that wonderful Celebration set, but you will also get the very fun, I'm looking for them now on my craft cave and I don't have them, but the masks, the new Cake Soiree masks, and I'll include that with your make and take supplies as well. So thanks for joining in, and please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. Thanks. Bye.